Alright, today we get to talk about ricing since the Gentoo Linux server has decided to ban the word rice. Now, I'm gonna be upfront and say using Wikipedia as your primary source, not really your best idea. But that's what he linked to when I mentioned the history of ricing. So if we're talking about ricing in 2025, that means to customize your desktop. Nothing more, nothing less. What it is in reference to is modding Japanese domestic market cars, which was done back in the day for racing. So a rice is a racing inspired customization. Now, what it did mean, because he decided to link this Wikipedia page, is something from the fucking 1950s, which was you would call Korean people rice burner was used for cars in the 60s. In the 70s it was for Vietnamese people. For the 1980s it went back to cars, and then fucking 40 years later we are dealing with the term ricing in desktops, which is so far removed from from that original meaning that it doesn't even fucking matter. So basically, unless you were alive in the 1960s, which means maybe your parents or your parents' parents, you probably haven't ever heard the term rice burner used pejoratively. Although it does say that it is a pejorative term originally applied to motorcycles and cars. That does not mean that it is a slur towards Japanese people. And by the way, according to this page, it never fucking has been. And even if it was used that way, it was used it so long ago that it doesn't even make contextual sense anymore. So that is why I say don't use Wikipedia as your primary source, because you're going to get a very archaic and biased view on on what ricing means. So if you are using it in a desktop sense, don't fucking worry about the history of it. It was used for cars originally, and some people used it as a slur in the fucking Korean War. And maybe the Vietnam War, if you really wanna get up there. But basically, the reason I bring this up is because it was banned on the Gentoo Linux server, and the owner said some, sorry, he subscribed to my channel, but he said some shit that, kind of pissed me off a bit, because he is not a gay man. He may have gay friends, but the shit he said was, offensive even to me. Especially as somebody in a relationship with somebody who would be considered gay, you know? So basically I said, when we're getting into this, no fucking Asian person on the face of the earth has heard the term ricing used offensively, especially not in the Linux space. Never in their fucking lives. It has never happened, it will never happen, because nobody fucking knows the history of this word. I do, and that's why I'm bringing it up today. And he thought he did too, but he kind of didn't. And that was kind of the problem, is he was kind of historically illiterate. But basically, I said this is really just people trying to make shit up, like literally fabricating why they are offended by this word, because it isn't used in the real life. So they made shit up to get a word banned. You see them all over the fucking Linux space. Anti-SJWs would call them liberals or whatever. I don't give a fuck. I just call them people that would be offended if you fucking told them the sky was blue. These are the kind of people we're talking about here. So what has happened is he ended up equating it to homosexuality, or no, not homosexuality, homophobia. And that was where I said, okay, you need to stop. Because it is one thing to say that a word is bigoted when it obviously isn't, but it is another thing to equate that to policies, social whatever, stuff that is current day and has been going on for fucking forever, and people actually live in opposition, where they live in fear of homophobia, whether they are persecuted or whatever by their government, by people who gives a shit. But that was why I said you can't bring this up and equate it to, like, not only is it twisting my words, but it is also equating something that is a non-fucking issue and equating that to something that is a fucking issue. You know what I mean? So I'm sorry I had to make a video about you today, but I really do think that these people you need to deal with them swiftly and firmly, because when you start getting into banning just random fucking words that have been used in a benign way for the last what, 40, 50 fucking years, you know? Where you can't even find historical evidence of this until you go back to the 1960s. That is how far back we're going. So a lot of these people that they use the term ricing, not only is the term not rice burner, by the way, which is a completely different fucking word. It doesn't mean the same thing as ricing. Ricing is originally used for racing, but it is now used for desktops as well as racing. So, not even the same fucking word. It has never been used pejoratively in the history of human, like in human history. It has never been used that way. I am telling you right now, the term racing will never be a pejorative term. And it basically never has been. Wikipedia is just saying it's racist because they're fucking saying it's racist, but they're only saying rice burner is racist. So even if you wanted to make the argument about that, you cannot then turn it into ricing, which is not the same thing. So if you ever see these people in a Linux space, don't link them in this video, obviously. Try to form your own fucking arguments. But just tell them that they're making shit up. They're fabricating the history of the term ricing. You can link them the Rice Burner Wikipedia page and say, this is what you think is racist. That is not what ricing is. And you can just tell them to fuck off, honestly. Like, who gives a shit? But I wanted to bring that up today because I have seen these people starting to pervade, whatever, the Linux space, and they want to get this word banned. Doesn't fucking mean what I think it means. They're historically illiterate. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Tell them to fuck off. Alright, see ya.